All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Today is Thursday, June 1st, first of the month. Hopefully, y'all have a great month of June. Markets are off to a pretty flat start. S&P currently up marginally by, let's see, I'm not seeing what the number is, but 0.02% overnight. It's not really changing much. The NASDAQ was actually down last I checked. Actually flat as of right now. So not really much change going on in the market. We did have some data coming out this morning that would kind of lead interest rates to go up, but we did not see any change in the odds for 25 basis points. We did yesterday. At the beginning of the day, it was 70%. Now it's 30% after one of the Fed members spoke and said that they are considering skipping at the next meeting. So that has diminished the odds of raising rates for the June meeting to 30% now, down from 70% yesterday morning. Right now, AMD is falling pretty hard to 117, while NVIDIA actually trading up a little bit from yesterday's close at 3. Let's see what was closed yesterday for NVIDIA. They had a really rough sell-off the last 10 minutes, down to 378. AMD down to 117 from yesterday's close at about 118. So I do have an AMD put as of right now. Thinking about taking profits or just getting out of the trade. But my expectations over the next couple days, after this decent sell-off that we got in NVIDIA was 6% yesterday, I would imagine that we would get at least a little bit of a pause or a breather before we make our next leg down. So that's why I'm considering selling my AMD put as of right now. Currently it's at break even just because I bought it I think a week ago and it's lost a little bit of its time value. Recommend waiting until after the news to trade. I like to trade before the news if you can, but it's really hard these days to see how the markets will kind of react to it. The markets have had very mixed reactions to different data. Like this morning, actually made sense for the markets to come down under 418, right? Because unemployment remained basically the same for the continuing and the initial jobless claim, so it's relatively the same. And then the ADP non-farm employment change was very hot. So that means that interest rates are rising, which means that the stock market would come down. But actually, you're seeing interest rates going down, with the 10-year currently down 1.15% to 3.595, down from yesterday's close at 3.635. So the markets don't really have the usual typical reaction that you would expect. I would probably say the Fed is to blame just because they don't have an anchored point of where they're going to go next. It seems like every other Fed member has a different opinion on what they should do at the June meeting, which kind of puts interest rates all over the place. So you're going to see a lot of interest rate volatility. How that translates to stocks is really kind of hard to tell. All right, AMD is popping back off. NVIDIA's back above 385 again. So yeah, my guess, we're probably just going to chill out for NVIDIA. Next couple of days, maybe between, I would say 380, maybe 375. If you're lucky to get down to that, to like 390, 395 would be my guess as to where NVIDIA is going to stay. And of course, with NVIDIA going up, AMD bounces on that. Most of the big tech names are green today. NVIDIA up the best, 2.4% after yesterday's 6% sell-off. Not too surprised. Meta's up by 1.6. This one just doesn't stop rallying. It seems like, looking at the hourly chart for the past 20 days, it just keeps going up non-stop basically. $269 as of right now. So a lot of momentum going into Meta at the moment. This one might be the leader today, I would think. Let's see, and then Google still up by 0.5%, a little bit more, 0.6%. Tesla's up by 0.3%, still above that $200 level that they barely closed it above yesterday. And then Microsoft is the loser today, down by 0.75% as of right now. All right, let's check in on SPY. SPY seems to be falling down to 417.25, so it ended up getting rejected with that 418 level. I would imagine if you're seeing half of the big tech names in the green that it would be hard to get SPY back down to 416, but if you do see more names going red on this list down at the bottom left, we might see that 416 number today, especially after yesterday's last 5-10 minute sell off, because that hit Apple pretty hard to where it was up by 1% and then it ended the day flat. So if Apple keeps grinding down today, that would be pretty rough for the market. And then Google, Meta, Nvidia, all these three names are pretty decently green. 0.3%, and 2%. I'd say the hardest one to get down today would probably be Meta of the three names, just because it has that momentum going into it. So maybe we could take a Meta trade. This morning it started at 266 at the low, 266.65 on the open, and went all the way as high as 269. They got Tesla back down 1.5%. Interesting. Back down to 200. I'd imagine it's just going to stay around that 200 level just because everybody's hyper focused on the 200 level. QQQ is actually down 0.33% today, which is a bit shocking, I would say. I wouldn't expect QQQ to be down by 0.3% when you kind of have a split between the names that are green and red for the mega caps. But it's down to 346. Yesterday's low was 346.50. I'd imagine if you continue to see this split today, it would probably stay above that level at 346.50. But let's see. IWM is in the green today, so that's actually a good sign for a bull market. You want to see more broadening, especially in the small caps that have been just lagging behind year to date. They really haven't moved much at all. At the beginning of the year, IWM was trading at 174, and now it's still trading at 174. So it literally hasn't moved since the beginning of the year. Obviously, we've had our ups and downs, but for the past how many months now, we've just been trading between 170 and about 180. It's been since March 13th after the Silicon Valley Bank collapse. It's just been trading flat the entire time. So with it trading at 173.50, odds would be that it would see more upside going back to 180. I would probably want to give that trade a little bit of time, though. I don't think that will be the case today, particularly. just because you're seeing SPY in the red a little bit down to 417 and Q slightly red down 0.25%. But yeah, as usual, yesterday ended up staying above $172, the range that it's been in for months at this point. So I would continue to expect it to be above 172, maybe $170 at the worst. Thank you, William. Good morning. Nvidia's trying to go up at 387 at the moment. So that's kind of acting as a magnet to AMD at the moment. It's up by 2.3% almost. But like I said, I think that Nvidia is just going to kind of chill out. Maybe going as high as like 395. And then as low as like 375 would be my guess. So right now it's closer to the top of that range than the bottom. So it has a little bit more room to the downside. Looks like we're having a flippening again, where Q's is leading. The rest of the market is lagging. The Dow is down by 0.5%. So our typical sentiment, sell everything that isn't big tech, is going on today. Yesterday we did have a reversal of that sentiment for a short period of time. If the Dow is going to be red today and Q's is going to be mostly flat, I would think SPY below 418 would be an okay trade for the day. Looking bearish on the RSI, 37, got rejected at 50. It's a very clean price action going on so far this morning. Catching resistance at about 417.60 or 417.70 at the moment. All right, let's look into the 418 puts expiring today. Going for 130 at the ask. All right, get rid of Nvidia at the moment. Yep, lowest that these went was $1 each, which was, oh, this is the first hour of trading. Let me switch it to the 5-minute. Lowest that these went was $1 each on the open. They're going for 132 as of right now. Looks like Nvidia's losing its lead now. Meta's taking over, 1.9% versus 1.6% for Nvidia. And Microsoft is just having a really hard time staying down lately. It was down by about 0.8%. Now it's only down by 0.2%. It's a very, very slow burn in Microsoft. But yeah, we have a pretty clean trend. so far this morning. Getting rejected roughly at 50 RSI first thing, and then getting rejected at about 40 RSI. So looking to be very bearish start to the morning. Mostly coming out of the Dow, 0.5%, and QQQ's basically flat, 0.07%. Manufacturing PMI just came out, 49 versus 48.5. Not far off of expectations, 50.2 prior. So we all know that manufacturing PMI has been terrible for basically the last year. That would be either inflationary or recessionary, depending on how you see demand evolving over the next 6-12 months. Good morning, Jesse. Seeing Investopedia SPY chart volume hit 336.9 million at the end of yesterday. Is that all for after market or single hour at the end of the day? At the end of yesterday, I would think that it would be the total amount of volume for the day. 300 million, 337 million seems like an all-day kind of thing. Let's see. We can check the charts here too. See how much volume there was. And there was an elevated amount of volume. It was the last day of the month, which I think typically last day of the month usually sees a bit more volume. Let's see. Yeah, pretty typical. But yesterday there was 110 million shares of SPY traded yesterday, actually. The day before that was 72 million. So I don't know where you're getting 300. Maybe if you include the after hours. But I don't think that many shares would trade after hours. That would be like 200 million shares traded after hours, which doesn't make any sense. All right. Nvidia is still up 2%. Still hanging in there. Just barely. At 385. All right, let's go back to SPY. Still trading close to 417, so it really hasn't moved much. More downside, 34 RSI. Looking for a breakout to the downside is what it's looking like. Pretty low volume though, dropping volume. Maybe if you flush the lows, you'll get an increase, but that is a pretty steep drop in volume for the first 15 minutes of trading. Usually you see a decent amount of volume coming into like the first 30 minutes. But if volume is dying off this quickly, it might be a pretty slow day. All right, maybe we could short Qs because SPY isn't giving us a very good opportunity. Qs is just below 50 RSI, so if it is bearish today, I'm thinking sentiment is neutral for Qs, but if it is bearish today, now would be the time to take that trade. The only thing that has any momentum going for it is the Dow down 0.6% for right now. And IWM even actually dropping by 0.4%. So Q is holding everything up. Just barely flat and down 0.07, 0.1%. Very hard to bet against the Qs, especially after yesterday's drop. Because there always seems to be somebody that wants to buy the dip on it. It's smack dab at 50 RSI. Kind of thinking of just doing an iron butterfly. The puts right now for the 348 Qs are going for 146. It's probably pretty cheap, I would imagine, for today's expiration. All right, now going for 160. The lowest that they went was 140-ish. So I could open now. It's a little bit late. Set my stop loss at 140. That's what I'm thinking. I would want to see Nvidia going down first, though. That's kind of what's propping the market, with it up by 2%. Google's actually up 1.2% too, and Meta up 1.2%. So you have three mega caps more than 1% of the green, kind of propping everything for the moment. Unless those drop, Qs would probably end flat. Yeah, pretty clean rejection off of 50 RSI though, so that trade could have worked out. SPY's below 417 at the moment. RSI at 31, so very bearish. The Dow chilling at yesterday's lows, basically a little bit lower. I'm thinking we could get a decent long opportunity on IWM closer to 172. Do I set up Iron Butterfly the same as the Iron Condor? So setting up Iron Butterfly, you sell the strike price you think the stock is going to be at. So if I think Q's at 348 today, that is 4 Qs. 3 Qs. I would sell the 348 call and 348 put, and then buy the strike prices, buy a call above, buy a put below, depending on the range I want and how much collateral I want to put up. So if I go to Robinhood and set this up, assuming Q's at 348 at the end of today, if this will load. Elevator music. QQQ. Options. So you go to the strike price you think it's going to be. You sell a call option and a put option with that same strike. Switch to the calls, switch to buy. So if I want to say, if I want to put up $200 collateral, give it a $2 range either direction, I buy the 350 call, I buy the 346 put. In total, I get $150 of credit for $200 of collateral, which means that I'm risking $50 for that trade. And assuming that QQQ is going to be immediately at $348 at 4 p.m. today. Or I guess with Robinhood, 3:30, because you can't hold them into the 4 p.m. expiration. Nvidia's still trying to climb higher at 389 right now. Not wanting to give up just yet. Not quite. All right. Looks like those puts are getting cheap again on Qs, so try to open those. 348 strike. Now that we're back to 50 on the RSI. Discord. Open up. Trades, looking to buy QQQ 348 put, expiring today 6/1. They're going for 143 right now. $141. Just above 50 RSI, so hesitant to make the trade. We could assume a pullback at about 348.15, but it's a lot of momentum going into Nvidia at the moment. It's propping us, and we're gaining some on Microsoft, Tesla, and now majority of our big tech names are in the green. Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, and Nvidia all up today now. So now looking more of a bullish setup for the Qs, especially considering Nvidia up 3%. It's kind of the leading market indicator as of right now. Wherever Nvidia goes, the markets chase. These puts are very cheap though, but you are going against momentum, so that's why they're cheap. Those went down to 114. Now they're 113. For the 348 puts, going back to 348. Still above 50 on the RSI. But yeah, you'd have to have a reversal for NVIDIA, Meta, those two names, especially in the green today. All right, let's check SPY. Maybe we have a better opportunity there. It's a 44 RSI, kind of shaping up to a V-shaped recovery. Now, SPY, I could say, might be bearish below 418. Especially considering the Dow is down 0.6%. So if you see QQQ flattening out after this morning rally, that would drag the SPY down. So, did not open this 348 put. We'll look into a SPY, maybe 418 put. Going for 118. We had PMI just come out. 46.9 for manufacturing PMI versus 47 expected. So slightly worse. We all know that manufacturing PMI has been in the gutter for very long. Construction spending month over month was 1.2% versus 0.1% expected. Let's see. I think that's all the data out for today. I don't think there's anything else. Let me check. Manufacturing PMI, manufacturing prices was lower than expected. 44.2 versus 52. And 53.2. So that's actually kind of good for the inflation narrative if manufacturers are paying less for the month of May. New orders was worse than expected. And obviously PMI worse than expected. So one kind of good caveat to this would be the manufacturing prices coming down for the month. The markets could take that and run with it. Let's see if the 10-year is going down after that. The VIX is definitely headed down. 10-year dropped to 3.57. Now it's at 3.586. So yeah, initial reaction drop in the yields. Probably a further decrease in odds for 25 basis points, I'm guessing. Still about the same at 27%. Marginal drop. Last time we hit about 60 RSI, we pulled back for Q, so maybe that's the same today. If it is neutral, that's where you would expect it to be, between 60 and 40 if it's a volatile, flat day. So that could position us for an entry if it's not able to sustain 60 RSI. But looking to shape up, maybe going overbought. These puts are very, very cheap though, 103 a piece. I just don't see an imminent reversal after that. Those prices came in lower than expected for the PMI, or the manufacturing index. SPY is back to 418 with a 418.21 resistance, 50 on the RSI. The Dow is still down by 0.4%, whereas the Qs is now up by 0.15. And IWM actually regaining after getting supported at 173 this morning. All right, let's check in on SPY. 418 puts. They're going for 91 right now. Please copy this. Thank you. Resistance right at 418.21. We'll see if it ends up passing. Looks like Nvidia is finally starting to pull back a little bit. Hardly at all. It's still up by 3%, but small change to the downside. And SPY is trading right at that 418.21 level. Perfectly there. Did not enter. Looking to buy 418 SPY put expiring 6/1 today. All right, they're going for 83 at the moment, which is the lowest that they've been, was 77. So we expect a reversal here. This is a time to get in. They just jumped the price. Nope. All right, try to get in at 83. Got in at 81. Stop loss will be 10 cents lower, as per usual with the strategy. Stop loss at 71. I did get lucky with the pricing on that. All right, they're going for 85. So up by 40 so far. Back to 81. Seeing Nvidia pulling back below 390, so that's a good sign. The Dow is actually improving though. Lots of moving parts with the SPY versus just focus on QQQ is a lot easier. You can just focus on Nvidia and that'll move the Qs enough. But all right, these going for 85. They were at 87, which would have been nice, but not quick enough with my exits. We do have a pretty clean rejection off of 418.21 so far though, which is good. It's what we want to see. It's just not sinking very quickly. Even with the Qs pulling back right now. All right, they're going for 86. I don't know if I'm going to get much more for them, honestly. They're just going to keep us tight. I feel like at that 418.21 level, too many people paying attention between 418 and 418.21. Maybe if we get down to 418, I could take profits, but looks like we already tested that and went back up. So, a little 20-cent range on SPY. Typical after I open these trades. Gotta love it. Alright, just broke the 418.21. And back down. Back and forth. PMI. Yeah, I could talk about the PMI. SPY just went a little bit higher there. All right, so I'm gonna have to close these. Well, problem is my thesis is playing out, the price is not, so I'll have to sell them. At my stop loss. Unless we pull back from 417 or 418.50 there. Oh, they're back to 71 again. Looks like a fake out. Nvidia's still playing to the downside. AMD is still kind of holding up, even with Nvidia pulling back here, though. It's interesting. Yeah, now the Dow is carrying us up. Interesting. We had a reversal for the Dow and then a reversal in QQQ, so there might be a rotation going on short term. Still looking at Lulu today. Yeah, I'm thinking about the trade for Lulu. Let's see, Lulu up by 0.3%. Yesterday I was down by like 1 point something. So oh crap. Yeah, I'm down 200 for the position now. Not following my stop loss. That's what happens. I don't know. I'm still kind of convinced that we'll be below 418.21, but stop loss is a stop loss, so hard to call it here. Maybe I could cut half of the position, keep the other half, just in case we do reverse. I think that's probably the best idea, because we are seeing a reversal in the Qs, which is what I was expecting, but Dow is also reversing at the same time, propping us. You'd want to see a pullback in the Dow to bring it down. Oh, wow. That was a quick flush. What the heck happened there? That was weird. It's like a breaking news kind of move. I don't think that there's any news that would have sent it down that much, though. Maybe somebody just wanted to get it back to 418.20. All right, there's 418. These are only going for 86 now. Even with that volatility, I would have thought that that volatility flip there would have jacked up the prices, but they haven't. They have not just yet. There's a lot of volume coming in right now, suddenly. Very, very sudden volume. Not sure what's the cause. I don't think that there's any news going on right now. Not that I'm aware of. Maybe you'll have something, but back down to that 418 level again. Dow just went down 0.25% too. Qs is just hanging on flat. So leading me to believe there's more bearish action to come, but That 418 level is very, very sticky. Very, very sticky for SPY. All right, there's that leg lower. These are going at 91. I feel like they're kind of cheating me out on the price, but I think that's what I'm going to have to leave them at. Q's just in the red, Dow in the red. All right, now time to get out. They're going for 100, a little bit more. I got out at 104. 240 to profit, or 230 profit. Sold at 104 for 71. 104 minus 71. 81, sorry. 230 profit. Looks like you're having the big names pulling back a little bit. Nvidia's down to 387. Like I said, I don't think this is going to break 395, and it ended up topping so far this morning at 392. I also don't think that it's going to fall probably below 375 for the next couple of days. So, unless everything gets really bearish, Nvidia's probably going to stay in the 380s, I think, today. But yeah, someone asked about Lulu for earnings today. It's down by 0.08%. Retail stocks have been getting really kind of hammered after earnings, so I'm thinking the same will probably happen for Lulu. Not sure on the trade that I want to take on it, though, because, you know, if every other retail stock is dropped because of their earnings, Lulu would probably be the same, so it might already be priced in. Lulu is kind of a higher end retail name, though, so it's kind of harder to bet against them because they will have better margins than something like Target, right? Target sells very cheap items, whereas Lulu sells $100 yoga pants. Major difference there, right? So it's harder to bet against Lulu. I would probably do a call credit spread for it. I think that's probably the safest trade for it. I wonder what implied volatility is at, though. IVP is currently 63rd percentile. That's actually really high for this earnings season. We haven't seen many stocks with above like 50 for IV percentile. So yeah, I think credit spread's probably a better bet. Or you could do debit spreads to mitigate some of the IV crush. But credit spreads, you can bet on the stock either trading flat, which can happen on earnings like this where it's already kind of priced in, or you can trade on it going down too. Whereas a put debit spread, if you're lower in the strike prices, it has to come down below your strike prices for that to make a profit. So let's see, Lulu. I'd say 340 is an easy shot. 335, you're cutting it close. If we choose both of those strike prices, we get paid 175 for 325 risk. It's usually about the amount that I put up on earnings trades, about 300 or so. For a $200 payout or $180 payout, if we go with a put debit spread and assume that it's going to fall more, let's see what we can get. Say if it goes down to 320. If we do 325, 320 strikes, puts, you're paying 230 to make 260. But obviously you need the stock to drop. So I think I'm going to go with the call credit spread for Lulu under 335. Currently at 332. So it only needs to go up 1% to put that one in the money. We could go with next week's expiration too. That might give us more credit just for the longer expiration. Yeah, you get 190, like an extra 10 cents credit for next week's expiration. For 310 risk. Usually on Thursday earnings, I like to go with the next week just to give it time to play out and not take the max loss. Let me check my notes on it, though. Not logged into Notion? Are you kidding me? What the heck? Or did they change the Notion interface? No, I got logged out. Oh. Well, that's annoying. But yeah, my guess probably below 340. Damn, AMD is sinking like crazy right now. Way underperforming NVIDIA. The bid ask on the call credit spread is actually kind of wide. So we might get more credit than what it's telling us. Let's see. Some of these captchas are really funny. Like they ask the most random things. All right, well, okay. Trade station 006-554. Remember for the device, please. Options. So they usually do better than earnings expectations. And they lowered earnings expectations for this quarter pretty significantly. There's a huge discrepancy there, though. So it seems like a likely beat on the earnings per share. Last year for this quarter, they were doing 194 earnings per share. Expected to do 179. This quarter, they're expected to do 184. I would probably say relatively that would come in close together. But, yeah, let's set this up. Call credit spread. 135, 140. That's not the right price. All right. June 9th expiration. Selling the 135 call. Buying the 140 call. It's telling me 110 here. Robinhood's giving me a completely different price, though. That's weird. Oh, 335. Why am I choosing 135? I'm looking at AMAT. Silly me. Okay. Yeah. So now 335, 340. For this week is paying 325. That's a really good credit, actually. Oh, wait. That's for both. Oh. Sometimes Aries can be a pain to use. $215 is what they're paying for this week's expiration. Okay, and if we go with next week's expiration, I'd imagine we would get 220 at least, 225 maybe. So that's the trade I'll set up. Call credit spread on Lulu expiring next week, assuming under 335 for $225 credit. And that will be my earnings trade for the week. Just opened a new Lulu call credit spread expiring next week, which is the 9th at 225. Assuming we're going to be under 335, and I ended up buying the 340 strike. PMI. So yeah, the PMI report came out at 10 o'clock. So the Purchasing Managers Index was worse than expected. This is the manufacturing PMI. This has been coming in worse than expectations basically every single month. And on the decline ever since 2021, and especially after the Fed started to raise interest rates. It was at 58.6 and just slowly kind of headed down. Last few months has been, I guess, neutral, but for the most part, manufacturing PMI continues to come in worse than expectations. That either means that manufacturers are expecting less spending in the economy, less demand, i.e. a recession, or they are anticipating more inflation to come. If they're producing less goods and there's the same amount of demand, then people are paying more for the same amount of goods, because prices are just a function of supply and demand. If there's less supply and the same amount of demand, prices will go up. And then the other thing that came out of that was the manufacturing prices, which actually ended up dropping for this month to 44.2, down from 53.2 as of last month. And this is kind of volatile, I would say. But this would actually be considered a good reading if prices for manufacturing is coming down. That would get passed down to the consumer. So overall, I would say that this PMI report is recessionary. Markets kind of already know that we're going into a recession sometime probably in the next year. So they're not really reacting much to it. You are seeing people buying into treasuries a bit. Let's see. The TLT is up by 0.15% today. And a decent rally going on in the pre-market up to now. But you haven't seen enough buyers in TLT to get a significant move, I would say. The only significant move that we've seen, actually not even gold is doing that hot. It's barely higher than yesterday's highs. The dollar is reversed though. So short-term trade that I might want to take will be gold. You could also trade silver. Silver is more volatile. But it does seem like we have a start to a reversal. We're below the lows that we found ourselves within the range. So that would be a place for us to get rejected at about 103.80 or so. Currently at 103.88, so slightly above. But if we get rejected around these levels and keep headed down for the dollar, you're going to see a rise in gold, silver, oil. Now we do have OPEC news coming on Sunday too. So maybe oil could even be the best play here, considering it's at 68 a barrel for sweet crude. Can't trade this name, unfortunately, but let's see, oil. I wonder if there's any oil ETFs. I think USO is a, let's see. Yeah, they have futures contracts on WTI. So USO could be a decent trade. Let's see, this was back at 6. Oh, we got to get rid of the IV percentile. Nope, don't need that. Yeah, definitely catching some supports at about 60 for USO. Maybe we could expect it to go above 62. And that's on Sunday is when that OPEC meeting is going to be. So I'm probably going to go with an at the money June 16th call, which is actually a bit much. They're going for 200 apiece. More than I would typically trade on something like USO, something that I don't follow too closely, just following the dollar as a proxy for how oil would react. But let's see. Definitely some supports at 60. Currently at 61. And we're paying $210 for the trade. So our break even would be above 63. Usually OPEC kind of likes to shock the markets whenever they do their meetings. The last couple of times you saw oil jump like 8% at the last meeting. When was that? I think it was this right here on April 3rd. So maybe we could have a similar kind of rally to that. So I think I'm gonna get these at 225. I'll try 220 first. I don't think I'll get filled at 220, but I'll try first. Yeah, did not get filled at that. $2.23, I'll try. And then we'll try 225. Nope, no fills at 223 either. Still not filled at 225 either. They're jacking up the prices on them. Very quickly. Every buy order I put in here, they're setting it up more. Jesus Christ. All right, that's the highest I'm going to put in for 230. And if they don't want to fill me, then that's okay. I'm not going to get trapped into that. Yeah, you could do XLE too. XLE is more focused on the energy companies, whereas USO is focused on oil futures. So that's why I chose that versus the XLE. Just got an alert. Qs just went above 349, so we had a nice little reversal. Nvidia back to 390. Surprise, surprise. And I got out of those SPY puts at a very good time, because that would have ruined that trade very quickly. Definitely some bullish action going on SPY though. Higher lows, higher highs so far. And I can only imagine RSI is probably like 60 plus. Yeah, 62. The bid ask on the USO calls 2 cents wide and they won't fill me. Goofs. Alright, I'll pay the extra 2 cents. I don't want to pay the extra 2 cents, but if that's what I have to do, then so be it. Nope. Oh, for the love of God, just fill me on a trade, Robinhood. One time, at a good price. Just once would be nice. Let's check Lulu is still going up a little bit. 0.5% today, up to 335. Yes, finally USO got filled. Just opened a new USO 61 call expiring June 16th. Yeah. And I got him at 232. So yeah, dollar going down right now. OPEC meeting on Sunday. I expect a decent pop in USO and for oil in general. Likely to go higher. Probably today bought that at a very high price considering the 1.2% rally so far for USO. But I think over the next week this will probably improve. And I got 3 weeks till expiration, so plenty of time for it to work out. And I think that's the last trade I'll make today. Nvidia's back to 390, so obviously AMD catching some gains. VIX is coming down some more. $16. This is the lowest that we've seen it in a while. Let's see, the last time VIX was in the 16s was right here, day before the monthly expiration on May 19th. But yeah, I think that's all the trades I'll make today. Maybe watch to see if Nvidia does break out of my range above 395. That might create a little bit of anxiety around my AMD trade. But I don't think it's going to get there. So, that's all I got for y'all today, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow at 9:30. See you, everybody.